Hi, I'm Mary, a librarian turned book reviewer with a focus on stories written for kids, tweens, and teens. Today I'm going to be talking to you about this book, Double the Danger and Zero Zucchini by Betsy Uhrig. This is an unusual take in the middle grade genre, specifically because it talks about writing a book while it is a book. It's the story of Alex Harmon, who is writing the story from a future point, but most of the plot takes place when he's about 12 years old, when his Aunt Caroline comes to him with a proposition. She says, I have $10. Can you take this red pen and circle every point in my manuscript where things are boring? And Alex has been labeled a reluctant reader for most of his life, which mostly means he can read, but he'd rather be moving than sitting still with a book. So he takes the challenge, takes that red pen, and finds himself circling more than he thought he was going to. And what ends up happening is he helps his Aunt Caroline in more ways than he can imagine in a journey that is at once educational and also really inspiring. So this story is written for, I would say, reluctant readers in some ways, in the fact that the chapters are very short, only a couple pages at a time. There's no pictures, but it's very easy to say, oh, I'll just read a chapter. It'll only take a minute, right? And you get through the chapter. But it's also easy for people to say, oh, just one more chapter. Oh, just one more chapter. Oh, just one more chapter. And then before you know it, you've made it through the whole book. So this story is really fun. Alex Harmon's voice is delightful. From the very first chapter, even the very first paragraph, he says, in fact, I'd rather dive into the back of a garbage truck with my mouth open than be famous. And that's kind of his personality the whole time. He's got a lot of really quirky humor. There's a lot of times where you find yourself smiling with what he says. And this story incorporates a lot of really dynamic characters. He's got two best friends, Marta and Javier, who help him along the way, his Aunt Caroline and her partner who is having a baby, and also who he ends up meeting a lot of older people too. So he goes to the senior center for part of his research. So it's really fun combination of a lot of different voices and different perspectives, and it basically tells the story of how a story is written. So as you're reading it, characters are coming alive, and readers really want to know not only what happens after the story ends, but also what happens within the stories that are being written because of this story. So it's a little bit meta. You kind of get into a lot of different timelines and perspectives in this, but it's really accessible. There are text messages and emails and a lot of dialogue, so it flows really easily, and readers of all ages actually are going to enjoy this, even though it is written for a middle grade audience. But it is lots of fun and an unusual take on a fun way to write. So, Double the Danger and Zero Zucchini, this sounds like a good fit for you. I hope you look for it at your favorite bookstore.